good morning. Welcome to the Civics Day City Council at 345 High Street, Hamilton, Ohio. We're going to begin with a roll call.
Gibson.
Here.
Goodman.
Here.
R. Parsons.
Here.
C. Parsons.
Here.
Ryerson.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Amata. Here.
All present. So now we're going to move on to the offering of prayer from Councilmember Ryu.
Everyone would please stand. We are going to be saying a Hail Mary. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
We will now face towards the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we will move on to our special presentations by City Council, and we will first start with Stephen T. Baden's school proclamation. This is Angela Reitz. You can come to the center. The Office of Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Mrs. Angela Breitz, a Stephen T. Baden High School teacher whose commitment to education and student success has improved the quality of learning at Baden High School and benefited the community of Hamilton. Whereas Mrs. Breitz, a teacher and dedicated advocate of the students of Baden High School, has led a decorated career as a teacher, leader, and mentor. And whereas Mrs. Breitz, who completed her high school career at Baden High School in Hamilton, completed her undergraduate degree at Miami University, and whereas Mrs. Breitz joined Baden High School in 2013, dedicating 10 years so far to serving and preparing the students. She has served many roles, including faculty council, science department chair, professional learning community leader, retreat leader, and science teacher. And whereas Mrs. Breitz shares her knowledge of not only the sciences but life lessons with the students of Baden, her unlimited ways of expressing and reminding students of gratitude has improved the lives of students in the Baden community as a whole. And whereas her clear ways of communication and putting students at ease in stressful situations is a major asset in the classroom and has reminded many that struggles are only temporary. Whereas, leading by example, she has challenged students to be the best versions of themselves each and every day in every aspect of their lives. Now, therefore, I, Ethan Gibson, Civic Day Mayor of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, and members of the Hamilton City Council do hereby proclaim the 10th of November 2022 as Mrs. Angela Breitz Day. And now the special presentation by City Council of Hamilton High School's proclamation, Mr. Michael Sunderhouse. Yes.
Yeah.
I will present the Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Mr. Sunderhouse is a Hamilton High School social studies teacher who has shown commitment to and compassion for the students and staff at Hamilton High School. He has enhanced the educational environment at Hamilton High School, and whereas Michael Sunderhouse attended Baden High School in Hamilton, Ohio, and then Bluffin University in Bluffin, Ohio, where he received his master's degree and graduated in 2006. And whereas he moved from teaching at West Carrollton High School for 9 years to teaching at Hamilton High School for almost 7 years. And whereas Mr. Sunderhouse has provided an equitable and amiable learning environment for all of his students, creating an inclusive, safe space. And whereas he is a dedicated teacher and father, always being there for his son, coaching his games, and being a source of great encouragement. And whereas Mr. Sunderhouse loves to interact with his students, both past and present, assuring their overall well-being while keeping in touch with them. And whereas Mr. Sunderhouse is a great coworker, friend, and chair of the Social Studies Department, where he provides both U.S. history and U.S. government teachers with excellent leadership. And whereas Mr. Sunderhouse delivers information to students concisely while choosing important materials to touch on, while also informing them of the current events and news. And now, therefore, I, Reese Parsons, Civic Day Vice Mayor of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, and members of this Hamilton City Council do hereby proclaim the 10th of November 2022 as Mr. Michael Sunderhouse Day. In the City of Hamilton, Ohio, congratulations on making an impact in students' lives for the pursuit of knowledge and scholarship.
Thank you very much. That's a good thing. First day of the week.
All right, and now we were going to move on to the audience of citizens, where individuals who wish to make comments regarding items scheduled may come up to the podium and speak to council.
Hi, I'm June Meehan, 856 on Avenue. You're going to address how you're going to implement job fairs and create employment opportunities for those in lower employment, for those who need it. But are you also going to address the high rate of poverty and those in homelessness who do not have the proper identification they may need for interviews and such?
I am unable to say right now. I haven't touched on that issue, but we will.
Thank you for coming up. Hello, my name is Jordan Sites, 123 New London Road. I see that on the docket for today, on your list of legislation, you're going to be speaking about financial aid. That is something that concerns me, as I do not want people in our city to be not motivated by their own gain and be reliant on the system. Is that something that you'll address within speaking on that legislation? That is my legislation, and I don't see how your own personal ideals will fit in with this legislation, but it's something to take into account, and I appreciate you coming up and saying something. Thank you.
I'm Ava Wessner, 6955 Lakota Ridge Drive, which is also in Westchester. I was wondering if you guys were going to mention anything about the future of Hamilton Parks Conservancy. Because as of right now, we are in charge of 40 parks and 2 golf courses with around 75 employees, and only 15 of them are full-time. And unfortunately, inflation has not been generous to us, as our wages have had to raise along with our responsibilities. But with all of these growing money problems, we have not had any extra support or funding from the city of Hamilton. And I was wondering if you guys would be able to address that and possible thoughts and new kinds of actions for the future.
Great question. I don't know if we can answer that right now, but we can direct you to our Director of Planning, Mrs. McMillan, and maybe she could answer better.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Hibbard, 358 Clinton Avenue. I see that you have a resolution to replace existing street light bulbs with blue lights. I was just wondering the thoughts on that and the I don't know how to say it, realism of that. That's a lot of street lights and just to me an odd proposal.
Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
We could start in a lower area, for example, downtown, the downtown area, like High Street, and once we've gathered statistics to see if it's working like adequately, we could extend it further to other parts of Hamilton. And so hopefully it is the entire city. But I will touch on the statistics further in my presentation.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bob Ross. 123 New London Road. I just had a question. Does the city have any plans to support up-and-coming artists, both musical and physical, fine arts, in any venture to, better expose our youth to this sort of cultural aspect? Is that something that you perceive addressing in the future, even if it's not current legislation?
Anyone like to answer for me?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
As of right now, we have multiple art centers around Hamilton, such as the Fit Center. We have art places downtown. We have gigs being booked at River's Edge. So there's no shortage of opportunities for artists and musicians in Hamilton as of now. But the amount of opportunities will continue to grow as our city does.
Mr. Mayor, if I can make a comment as well?
Of course.
Hamilton also has our Street Sparks program that is supporting local artists, including artists through the Hamilton High, painting murals around the city. All of the murals that were painted on electrical boxes over the summer were done by that program.
Thank you. I guess I should have Googled that first.
Mike Sunderhouse, 123 Blue and Green Way. I just want to say thank you to the council for the recognition, and thank you for my students in here that I have. You make this job phenomenal.
Yes.
What do you know? You're all leaders of your schools and the city in the future, and I look forward to your ideas one day coming to fruition in the city. So I have to leave, unfortunately, to get back to class and teach, but I can't wait to hear about your experiences tomorrow in class. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Vaishnavi. I have a question to our city manager. Do you have an estimate on how much it would cost to have a counselor at Hype?
Yes, so there are nonprofits that can help with the cost, such as the nonprofit that Hamilton High uses to supply counselors for low-income families. However, it would, depending on the counseling agency used, it would likely cost between $60,000 to $100,000 per year.
Thank you.
Lily Oden, 15 Hughes Court. I just had a question about the local transit program with the new bus routes. Will there be any bus route stops near the high school for kids who have extracurriculars that happen after a certain time after the high school is already ended?
So that is a great question. However, that's not a legislation presented by anybody on council. We're going to let Ms. Ajane come up and present her her legislation when it is time, and I hope she can answer your question or possibly future questions.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jesus Reynoso, 1635 Pleasant Avenue, and I love the idea of, recognizing our veterans, with the flags and putting them up on at the park, right? Okay. I was curious if you guys have, what are the plans on that? How is that going to add, and how will we recognize our vets?
So I did look into different veteran programs that are local in Hamilton, and there were 3 specific ones. I will touch on them later on, but I was working with that as well as local businesses to help make the banners, and they would be hanging up in Main Street where we already have flagpoles and different things already set up.
All right, thank you.
Becca Moore, 5536 Shaky Meadows Drive. Talking about the resolution to implement job fairs, would that just be with local businesses, or would that be larger businesses, talking about Like, would that just be local?
Mr. Mayor, I was thinking of local, but also the idea of larger businesses, I would also take into account. And I explained it in my presentation as well.
Thank you. Olivia Rogers, 3860 Bedford Avenue. With your resolution on the installation of streetlights and road reflectors, do you have an idea on how much that would cost our city? And I know we already have quite a bunch of road work going on. Do you know how much that would affect, like getting around our city and how we would work with that? Mr. Mayor?
So the average cost of a light pole is around $1,000 to $3,000, depending on how many we would need. Usually streetlights, like a large number of streetlights are not needed on one street. It just takes a few to light up the street a little bit better. As to the road reflectors, we do not have a cost for that yet, as it depends on the type of reflectors we use. So we will be discussing with the Director of Finance for that. As for transportation, it should not affect it that much since the reflectors are usually on the sides of the roads and or on the sidewalks. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Lily Overton, 3939 River Road. So I see that you have blue street light bulbs on here, transportation, government assisted transportation, and road reflectors as well. Would this lead to an increase in taxes in the city?
Mr. Mayor? I mean, with all things, we get taxes yearly, so I'm sure other things aren't going to be spent, and then we can use that money to spend towards these things. But the things that we have here aren't necessarily expensive, so I don't think they'd be a big problem for taxes. I feel like they just stay the same. But if you have any other specific questions, we can direct you to somebody who can answer a question more in depth.
Mr. Mayor. Obviously, for most of these things, we would be trying to get grants to help cover the funds, but with any questions in the raising and changes in taxes, I would refer you to the Director of Finance, Ethan Fussell.
Hello, Cindy Boomer for Suffolk Court, and I would like to comment on the road reflectors. I love this idea. I drive from Fairfield to Hamilton every day, and you can tell as soon as you switch cities, and in the rain you cannot see the lines, especially when turning onto the bridge. That is a really difficult turn when there are not cars there. But if there aren't cars there, you're not going to hit one, so that helps. I would also like to address another thing that I feel like Hamilton could use. It's not necessary, but they could. Is in Fairfield, we have lights on the stoplights, I guess, that let you know when like the ambulances and them are controlling the lights, and I do not know, unfortunately. I've heard that sometimes Hamilton can control those lights, and I found those lights to be very helpful to know that if they're controlling it, I know I'm doing the right thing, because if I have a red light, then clearly I'm not supposed to go, but if it's green and they're controlling it, clearly I am supposed to go. And I find those lights very helpful, so I was wondering if that was something council had considered with those road.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
The Hamilton Police Department has previously mentioned the installation of a system that would allow more specific controlling of streetlights, like as in like ambulances and such, being able to control them so people know when they're coming, and so the road is cleared more adequately when ambulances are coming. So that is not a problem we will touch on today because it is currently already being talked about by the police station.
Awesome, thanks. And again, I just want to compliment Hamilton ambulance drivers. They do a fantastic job.
My name is Juliet, 1192 Pine Road. I have a question regarding the blue lights. Is that like the blue light system you see on college campuses, or is this just like a blue light bulb?
It is similar, but on a larger scale. I will touch on why college campuses have implemented blue lights, as well as other cities across the world, in my presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, if that is everybody, thank you all for coming up. Now we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which is all staff reports, which will begin with legislation number 3.
It is resolved to establish a local transit program and a new bus route in the city of Hamilton, Ohio.
And now we will open up discussion, which we have Ms. Ajane on the podium to explain.
Do I still have to say my name and address? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I want this to happen is because of the rising cost of living. I feel as if we could put together a major bus route going through the main roads throughout the Hamilton, Fairfield area, and or possibly Middletown. Due to the fact that we are not a metropolis, we could cut the cost by having smaller buses, making it more cost efficient and eco-friendly. Having longer pickup times and less buses could also help with the cost. Buses would help the locals due to the rising cost of living, such as fuel, rent, food, and they would also help provide more jobs, help people get to and from work, and help kids get to and from school. The buses would get young adults more involved with the city and get them there and home safely after enjoying these festivities. I apologize. They could even help elderly get to doctor's appointments. We could use the sides of the buses for advertisement, whether it's local news or a local business. The new bus system will connect with other nearby establishments such as Fairfield, Liberty Township, and possibly Middletown. Depending on the rate of success, we could expand to Oxford, Springdale, and Westchester. This could also help lead more businesses into the city, connecting people to new experiences, especially for those who would not have the opportunity to go.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone on council like to add to discussion? Then we'll move to a motion.
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second the motion.
And now a roll call vote.
Gibson,
Yes.
Hootman. Yes. R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Rydersman.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Avata.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
And now we will move on to legislation number 4.
A resolution authorizing and executing a new financial aid system within the city of Hamilton, Ohio for qualifying citizens of Hamilton, proposal by Mayor Ethan Gibson.
Since this is my proposal, I am going to open up discussion. My resolution will add a way for people who live and work in Hamilton to receive financial aid on utilities that Hamilton also provides by providing their address and a way of proof that they work in Hamilton. And they can apply for it annually in order to receive this deductible. And its aim is to aid those who live and work and to incentivize people to bring their business here as well. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, what would this cost anything for the city of Hamilton, or would it come straight from taxes?
So what I was thinking is that it wouldn't really cost us anything. I guess in the long run it would, because we would be giving out a deductible on utilities. So I would assume that it would come out of somewhere. I would have to meet with the Director of Finance more in depth, but I would assume so, yes.
So it would be giving like deductibles for like electricity and different things that Hamilton provides, because I know we provide our own, but it wouldn't be like directly giving people money and things like that, right?
Not directly, no.
Okay.
Anything else? Then, is there a motion?
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second the motion.
A roll call?
Gibson.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
R. Parsons.
No.
C. Parsons.
No.
Rydersman.
No.
Pierce.
Yes.
Avata.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 4-3.
And now we move on to legislation number 5.
A resolution to plant a job fair to create employment opportunities and lower unemployment in the city of Hamilton, Ohio.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So, my legislation to implement job fairs with the schools or local parks donating the areas for people to go, and also for Miami and Butler Tech to explain like their college opportunities as well with job fairs and also local businesses.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Would the job fairs be for like people of all ages or just people from like high school and college level? Since you mentioned Butler Tech and Miami, like would they just be for people looking to get like a job before they go to college, or like anybody of any age?
Anybody of any age, doesn't mean school.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
would this be for people mostly looking for part-time jobs or full-time jobs, or both?
Both. I was focusing more on full-time jobs.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
would this specifically be for people who live in Hamilton, to help create more jobs for the county?
Yes, in terms of like ballot location.
Moving on to a motion.
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
A roll call vote?
Gibson,
Yes.
Bootman,
Yes.
R. Parsons,
Yes.
C. Parsons,
Yes.
Reidersman,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Abata.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Now we'll be moving on to legislation number 6.
A resolution to replace existing yellow streetlight bulbs with blue streetlight bulbs proposed by Councilmember Reese Parsons.
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
Whoa, slow down there, Councilman. Let's get some discussion.
My resolution is to replace existing yellow street bulbs with blue streetlight bulbs in the city of Hamilton, starting with the downtown High Street area, and then gathering statistics, and then if it has proven efficient, moving it to more parts of Hamilton, such as around the high schools like Baden and neighborhoods, and just more general areas. I found this idea because different cities around the world have been replacing their like old streetlights with blue streetlights, because after research it has proven to do less damage to your eyes, and as yellow is a very uncomfortable color, it has given people the feeling similar to the feeling of being in a prison or a jail or a small space. So blue lights would make a more comfortable environment, and they have proven to decrease feelings of depression, and cities that have implemented blue lights have seen lower suicide rates by an exponential amount, and a 10% decrease in crime in Japan. And it would not cost very much money, because as we have to replace existing streetlights anyways when they become deficient and don't work anymore, we could replace them as they need replacing and just replace them with blue streetlights, since they both cost around the same amount of money.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
So, it seems like it costs the same amount to get a blue streetlight bulb after the yellow ones run out. So would the plan be to like scrap all the yellow light bulbs in a certain area, or just wait till they go out and then start replacing with blue ones? And if so, would that cost anything different than a yellow?
Well, if we can get grants on this, it would cost nothing to the citizens tax-wise, but the plan would be to replace all of the lights in a designated area such as downtown Hamilton and see how it works, and then if it has proven efficient, as the lights need replacing, we will go and replace the lights all around Hamilton with blue street lights instead of yellow.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
so you would have to, you put it in specifically downtown and then move it on to if it was efficient. How would you figure out if it's efficient, if it's efficiently working or not?
Residents, we would take the opinions of residents that live and spend a majority of their day in the downtown area, and we would take statistics from how many calls are called in to the Hamilton Police Department from downtown Hamilton since the implementation of the blue streetlights to gather crime rates and general acceptance of the blue streetlights of the citizens that live downtown.
Any further discussion? A roll call vote, or sorry, a motion?
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call vote?
Gibson.
Yes.
Goodman.
No.
R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Reinersman.
Yes.
Pierce.
No.
Avalo.
No.
Resolution adopted 4-3.
Next, we will move on to legislation number 7.
A resolution authorizing a hiring of a counselor to be present during hours of HIPE program to provide families with free counseling for their children and general youth in the city of Hamilton, proposed by the city manager, Chloe.
So the youth philanthropy that works with the Hamilton Community Foundation did a survey last year, and youth in Hamilton identified mental health as the largest problem in our city. So I propose that we add a counselor to the HIPE program, which is a mentorship program that also offers exercising, connecting with other people, and learning new skills, which have all been proven to also be beneficial for improving mental health. And a counselor could be added to this program either through a local counseling agency or through a nonprofit called Mindpeace that Hamilton High currently uses to supply counselors to its students.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So do you see this adding a counselor or counselors to be present during HIPE is HIPE like an event, or is it more like an organization?
HIPE is an organization. It's like an after-school program, so it happens typically every day after school.
Do you think that adding a counselor there would help increase attendance or people being more involved in that program since they're getting free counseling?
Yeah, and I think it would open it up to a whole new population as well.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
you mentioned that this would cost $100,000, between $60,000 and $100,000 a year.
Yes.
Would this be coming from grants or straight from the HIPE organization, or would it be a tax issue?
It would probably be coming from both grants and the HIPE program. They currently receive funding through grants and places like the Community Foundation, so it would probably be included in that funding.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Do you know what schools specifically have the HIPE program for after-school activities?
It is mainly targeted to Hamilton, but it's open to all school students.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
I second that.
Roll call vote?
Gibson,
Yes.
Hootman,
Yes.
R. Parsons,
Yes.
C. Parsons,
Yes.
Reinersman,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Avada.
Yes.
Resolutions adopted 7-0.
Next, we move on to legislation number 8.
A resolution to provide government-assisted transportation for outbound patients from all public hospitals within the city of Hamilton, Ohio, proposed by Councilmember Anthony Abada.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
All right, so I'll start with the implication of tax dollars is going to be coming from tax dollars will be very low because we're going to be repurposing used vans and with the very low cost of a simple training program for drivers and outfitting the vans so they're suitable for patients. And the purpose of this is to prevent too long waits from getting home from an appointment and getting home from treatment at the hospital or any hospital in Hamilton, Ohio. Because we have emergency services to get them there, but they're there after their appointment, after their treatment, or being in the ER for an extended amount of time. And basically, if there is an extensive amount of time spent in the lobby waiting, they can contact either a volunteer there or any employee, and they can contact this organization or this implementation that we were trying to do here. and there'll be transportation for them to head home. And this is, it poses a threat, especially as we enter the winter months, for any patients, more extensive health risks as they're waiting out in the cold, if they choose not to wait in the lobby, which they're openly about to do. And it's...
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that we would be repurposing old vans for the use of this program. Would that mean it was essentially free to use for people needing assistance, or would they still have to pay a certain amount of money to get transportation?
It is free to use.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I think this is a great idea, and I was just wondering, would the city be working with multiple hospitals, or would it just be like one or two, or like every hospital, or like place that would need it in the city?
This is for every hospital in Hamilton, in the city of Hamilton, and especially in regards to Kettering Health Hamilton up there.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
how would you determine the routes ahead of time if it's based on people just waiting outside? Like, how would you make the routes as efficient as possible?
The routes cannot be determined ahead of time because it's on patient need basis. As the patients need to get to their house, it is up to the drivers to discover the fastest route possible.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Would this create more job opportunities for just people specialized in driving, such as bus drivers, or would this not be something you need prior qualification for?
The requirements, you will have to take a training course because you're going to be handling patients, you're going to be handling a government disclosed vehicle. You need to be a licensed driver, and you need to be a trusted official.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
would this be handicap accessible for some patients who are in wheelchairs or have different disabilities?
Yes, that is the purpose of refurbishing these vans, is to make them wheelchair accessible.
Is there a motion?
I motion that the resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Gibson.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Reinerman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Tabata.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Now we will move on to legislation number 9.
A resolution to schedule a town hall meeting semi-annually to provide an opportunity for the public to engage with city council and the city administration, proposed by the city clerk Williams.
Open discussion. Name, would you like to?
Mr. Mayor. So this would be a gathering mainly in the Markham Park. That's where I proposed with food trucks and that sort to provide a more casual setting for the citizens of Hamilton to meet their city administration, their city council, school board, all of those elected officials within the city. So this would provide a casual setting for them to get to know them, and also, let the citizens bring forth their ideas, their concerns with the city to those people.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Would this be more of a meet and greet type situation, or would there be certain activities there meant to get people more engaged with the officials?
Mr. Mayor. There would be food trucks, there would be activities, cornhole, that sort of thing. So it would be kind of a get together, but also a meet and greet. It would be kind of be a combination.
Thank you.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Hootman,
Yes.
R. Parsons,
Yes.
C. Parsons,
Yes.
Reidersman,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Avada.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Now we move on to legislation number 10.
A resolution to install flags of Hamilton veterans on Main Street during the months of May and November to show appreciation for their service, proposed by Councilmember Marie Hoopman.
Open to discussion.
Basically, these would be veteran banners or flags that would display the veteran's picture, birth or death date,
And I think it's a great way to show veterans we are very honored for their service and specifically to spread community in Hamilton. I have seen other small cities, small counties do this when I drive by, and I think it's a great way to really show our appreciation and spread some community. And it also is very helpful for the families to kind of, maybe if it's someone who has passed away, kind of just a remembrance. And Veterans Day obviously is a very special day for them. So it would specifically be hung on that. May, in the month of May, is also a Veterans honoring Veterans Month. So that's why I specifically chose those dates. But I feel it's very important for spreading community and just making everyone feel very welcome.
I have a question regarding who would be placed on the flags? Like, would it be a random selection of veterans, or would you have to like apply to be placed on such a flag?
I think families should apply. Otherwise, if it's not a family member, but I feel like they should be applied because I'm sure some people might not want their banner hung.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So, how many flagpoles are you like expecting to be using for this? And if so, if you had a amount of flags to be hung that are more than the amount of flagpoles, how would you like rotate them out or like share space?
So currently, my estimate was to make about 30 flags. I'm not positive exactly how many are on Main Street currently, but I mean, I did propose that they would be switched out week to week in the month of May. And I think really just a starting estimate of 30. And if we decide to maybe add more or less, depending on the amount that is already applicable.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Would there be any further requirements to put your name on a flag or to have a veteran on a flag besides just being a veteran? Like what branch, if they are deceased or living, etc.
I don't think really any prior specifications. I think really just being a veteran. And I think if people would like to maybe place something special, customize it, if they were in a specific branch, I think we can do that. However, I think all should be celebrated equally.
Thank you. And would there be any prioritization between people that are currently serving in the military and people that are done with the time in the military?
I wasn't planning on it. I feel that everyone should be celebrated whether they are still living or have passed away. I think maybe having a different number of both, but I don't think we need to have any specification of which one.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I motion that the resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call.
Gibson.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Reinersman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Abad.
Yes.
This resolution is adopted 7-0.
We will now move on to legislation number 11.
A resolution supporting the installation of streetlights and road reflectors in the city of Hamilton proposed by Council Member Pierce.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So in order to ensure a safer state of living for those residing in Hamilton and those driving through Hamilton for travel, implementing more and improved road lights and road reflectors is the logical first step. Pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicle operators would all be able to be seen better as well as travel safer. Additionally, better lit neighborhoods has the potential to decrease crime rates. And depending on the type of light we use in the event that we would use LED lights, they would specifically reduce future costs as they last 8 to 10 times longer than regular light bulbs, so that would also lower future replacement costs for city street light bulbs and road reflectors.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I really love this proposal. I think it's a very great idea. I know there is a lot of traffic accidents in Hamilton, specifically downtown, just because there's so many people driving through, and I think it's a great idea, especially for pedestrians, for their safety, because I know sometimes it's difficult to see them, really.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
How would we go about deciding where we need to put these reflectors and streetlights in?
I think it's pretty prominent that many of the side streets, mainly not just High Street and Main Street, but many of the side and small neighborhoods, they are in heavy need of road reflectors. So it's not any specific area basically, and there wouldn't need to be that many road reflectors, just enough to mark, just to make travel safer for everyone.
Any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call?
Gibson,
Yes.
Bootman, yes. R. Parsons?
Yes.
C. Parsons?
Yes.
Reidersman?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Abate?
Yes.
Moving on to legislation number 12.
This is a resolution authorizing the installation of dog wall pits in various parks in Hamilton, Ohio, proposed by Councilmember Parsons.
I feel as though the installation of dog wall pits in different elementary schools across Hamilton has been very successful, and many churches. And I think it'd be a great idea to involve them in parks, and it'd be very, very low cost, being from $300 to $500 each. It would possibly provide the carpentry class of the high school to get out and build them for an activity or grade maybe. And each park has much empty space that could be filled and could fit 2 to 3 or maybe 1 if needed. And it would just be a very low cost and high reward thing to do.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
How would we go about dealing with the situation of Gaga balls? Like, would the city provide them? Would they have to bring their own? How would we make sure that the balls, if the city does provide them, don't get stolen?
I mean, I don't think I know a single person who doesn't own a ball of some sort, and assuming that they go to the park specifically to play Gaga ball, I'm sure they would bring their own just in case, but we have to go across that issue when it comes, because I don't know a single way to keep a ball somewhere without it getting stolen. But just under the assumption that they bring their own, they could use it to play free of cost. I mean, we provide the pits, they provide the balls.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
Roll call?
Gibson.
No.
Bootman.
Yes.
R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Reidersman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 6-1.
We will now move on to the audience of the city manager.
I don't have a lot to say, but I would like to thank the council for voting for my proposal, and I look forward to all of these great ideas that everyone proposed.
Thank you very much. And now we will move on to the audience of the city council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank everybody who came to the meeting today, and I don't know if she's still here, but the teacher from Baden who got the day, and Mr. Sunderhouse, I know he left already, but just to thank you to everybody for coming out, and the mayor for helping us lead this meeting, and I think everybody did a great job today, and hope everybody has a good lunch and the rest of their day. I'm sure you guys are excited.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I've had a great experience with Civic Day. I hope you all have. I think it's a great experience for all of us. And I know especially learning about government and seeing how it's applicable to what we are doing, I feel is an important lesson and experience that all should enjoy. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you to everyone who helped set this up, specifically Mr. Seitz and Mr. Braun. I think it was a great job for both of you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd like to thank Mr. Tidyman and Mayor Mueller for helping with the shadow day and basically running the entire shadow day for the city council. And I'd like to thank everyone else who was involved in helping all of us shadow. And it was a very unique experience.
Anything else? Then we will move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I motion that the regular meeting be adjourned.
Roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Koopman. Yes. R. Parsons.
Yes.
C. Parsons.
Yes.
Rydersman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Kabata.
Yes.
Motion adopted 7-0.
Adjourned.